Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah, all right. We're here with Matt and Rosie from Isolation Cocktails. They are actors turned bartenders and are here to show us how to make some St. Patty's Day green drinks. So I'm excited. I hope you're all excited. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt and Rosie and show us what cocktails we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like Linda said, my name's Matt, for those of you who may have forgotten or may not know. I'm one half of Isolation Cocktails. Of course, I'm always joined by the fantastically punctual, overly talented, and somewhat, what's the third thing I'm going to say today? Somewhat Irish. Rosie Callahan. Yeah. There are her fingers right there behind the screen. So she's always on call in the back to laugh at my bad jokes, but she's taking care of the lights, this camera. And if you are in gallery view, you'll see that there's a second camera right here for the cocktail cam, so you can see what we're doing with our hands. But if you'd rather go to speaker view and just see me, that's okay too. No complaints here. So folks, during the class itself, we do ask you to mute your microphones. I'll tell you to come in and out with your voices. Just this way, when we're shaking things and there's, we don't want too much noise pollution, but we will have moments to turn things on, talk about our drinks and things like that. But like Linda said, it is St. Patty's Day. I was informed that it's not Patty, TTY. I was told very recently that it's Paddy's, DDY, and apparently the Irish hate it when we say St. Patty's. It's not instead of St. Patty's. I can't do an Irish accent for the life of me, and I'm not going to try. But yeah, no, we are doing a St. Patrick's Day cocktails. I wanted to focus it around, look, you can get a green beer anywhere. You can get, you add a little food coloring to any of these, you got yourself a green cocktail. Don't you worry about it. But I wanted to focus on the other big aspect of it is Irish whiskey and beer. So beer is something that comes into cocktails very seldomly. Beer is used, I would say, one every 1,000 cocktails in terms of just how many different styles of cocktails there are out there. Beer kind of gets shunned to the back, but it does have its place. And tonight I'm going to show you 3 wildly different beer cocktails that hopefully you can use this St. Patty's Day weekend if you're getting together online with your friends safely. If where you are, you can gather in a small bubble, do it, have a great time, and pop out one of these. And let me tell you, it's going to be the best, St. Patty's Day drink you've had in a while, because honestly, usually I just get a little bit of food coloring into a beer and then that's it. That's the whole St. Patrick's Day drink. But I'm trying to bring that up. I'm trying to raise that up a bit. But we use the chat pretty much. We use it a lot in this class. I leave the recipe in the chat for you. If you don't know where the chat is, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, bottom of the screen, there's a chat bubble. It's going to bring up a column on the right-hand side. I'm going to say hi real quick. There it is. If you're on an iPad, it's going to be in the top right corner. It's going to say more. Hit that button. A drop down is going to appear. You can hit the chat. And if you're on the phone, you're shit out of luck. I have no idea how to help you. But I'm assuming that you're on one of the two. Now, just to make sure you all know where the chat is, feel free if you feel like it. Let me know. What's a good question for this? Because it's St. Patty's Day. Does anybody have any kind of big St. Patty's Day memory? My biggest St. Patty's Day memory is me at 18 discovering amaretto in a bathroom stall with a buddy. We stole the bottle from our parents and we chugged a bottle of amaretto together. And I don't really remember much else from that St. Patty's Day, except that there was puke in the streets and I had a really great time. And that friend and I, although we don't talk that much anymore, is going to always be in my life and in my mind because of a night like that. Mark, not that I want to remember. Yeah, no, I feel you. Look, I've had a lot of unrememberable St. Patty days, or ones that I just don't remember. All right, folks. Oh, parade, beads. Ooh, beads. I like that. Because beads makes me think of New Orleans. But I'm assuming this, hey, parades and beads kind of go super well together. I'm into that. Also, St. Patty's Day parade. Rosie and I are from Montreal originally, and they've got a great St. Patty's Day parade. I feel like
it's the biggest. If it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest in the world.
No,
well,
it's not
in Canada. In North America for sure.
In North America for sure.
But I was Ireland is for sure bigger, but yeah.
It's funny. I was doing some research for St. Patty's Day. St. Patty's Day parades are an American invention.
Then yes.
So they started in the US, and only 100 years later did the first St. Paddy's Day parade happen in Ireland. It took them 100 years to go, yeah, okay, I guess let's do it. Like, all right, folks. So we're gonna get right into the drinking here. I've got about 55 minutes with you, give or take, to kind of get you buzzed, get you going. Always, of course, take photos of what you're doing tonight. Make sure you send them out to your friends. If they're getting haircuts for weddings, you can show them that, hey, you should have been here. We had a great time without you. Make sure to be there for the next one. And of course, you want to tag isolation.cocktails on Instagram or Facebook, and make sure to hit up Single Life Today. They've got a YouTube page now, we're building one. And then we've got, of course, an Instagram, and they've got Facebook. So make sure to tag them and let them know that, this is worth keeping around. All righty, folks, I'm going to grab our first cocktail of the night. What's great about these cocktails, by the way, folks, we got no syrups to make. This is all the sugars kind of in the ingredients themselves. So it's really quite a simple, I don't want to say simple, but it's like in terms of setup, it really does kind of bring cocktailing down just a level, which is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our first cocktail of the evening. I'm going to go grab it in my notes, and I'm going to throw it into our chat here. Why didn't I do this beforehand? Matt LaCup, how dare you? I had it up, and then it's gone, and there it is. So our first cocktail coming in hot. Alrighty, going into the chat right now for you folks. You can see it. You will be needing for this cocktail a cocktail shaker and your choice of glassware. I'm going to be using a rocks glass for the majority of these cocktails tonight. You can use whatever cocktail glassware you want. It's totally up to you. At the end of the day, the glassware is an aesthetic. Some people, now look, I went on a really snobby podcast. Okay, I shouldn't say snobby. I went on a podcast recently where I was the guest, and they were talking about everything behind the bar. One of the first questions the host asked me was, what kind of glassware you got? I was like, I don't know. It's a glass. It's got a nice design. He's like, oh, what's the name and what's the weight? And I was like, man, I teach people in my kitchen to their kitchen. Whatever glassware people got, it's all good. At the end of the day, though, the glassware is a feeling. It's an aesthetic. So use a glass that you would love to show people, maybe serve to people, or if you're taking a photo of it, something that looks good. At the end of the day, if you got a mug, whatever, like look at Linda. Linda's drinking something blue. That looks great. Whatever glass that is, that works. It's all good. But folks, we're going to start off, of course, a bartender rule of thumb: chill down your glassware. Make sure that you've got a little bit of cold water in this. Set it aside. A piece of ice. Set it aside, or throw it in the fridge. I am going to grab myself a piece of ice really quickly. I'm going to put an ice cube in here. I'm going to set that aside. We're going to call that there. But let me tell you, folks, about this cocktail. The first cocktail of the night is one of my favorite beer cocktails. I like starting hot, and then we're going to kind of go like a bit of an S in terms of my favorites, because we're going to still end on a good high. But one of my favorites is the Beggar's Banquet, and it wasn't made for St. Paddy's Day, but let me tell you, this is the day after St. Paddy's Day cocktail, the Beggar's Banquet. So the story goes, in 2006, there was a bartender who had a house party, and she got smashed. And the next morning, I don't know if you remember house parties back in the day, or maybe you're having them right now during the pandemic with your bubble, with your crew. Sometimes you kind of get leftovers. You have like a random beer, a half-eaten bag of chips, someone left a little amaretto, some whiskey. So she kind of goes, you know what? I need a day after. I need a hair of the dog cocktail. And she takes whatever she can find, throws it in a cocktail shaker, and makes the Beggar's Banquet. And I think that's such a great little story for this cocktail. So folks, cocktail shaker's out. Go ahead and grab yourself a couple of ice cubes. We're going to do 2 or 3 ice cubes in the cocktail shaker. That is what we want to start with right there. And of course, folks, if you do have any questions as we go, make sure to throw it down in the chat or throw on your voice and let us know, and Rosie and I will be able to answer your questions the best we can. All right, so I don't know what we're using tonight, folks, but I am using some Irish whiskey. Oh, we've got some Brex. Is that Brex? Oh, Sexton? Yeah, it is. And Jim Beam. Good stuff. I'm using the good old Jameson. So we're going to do 2 ounces of whiskey in this cocktail. Now, I will say this, depending on your whiskey, this cocktail will change slightly. I'm using an Irish whiskey. For those using Irish whiskey, which I think all of us here, but mostly are, Irish whiskey is characteristic-wise, has a spice to it. It has a kick, just like the Irish, the fighting Irish. It's what it makes me think of when I drink Irish whiskey, is that I'm probably going to get in a fight. So I've got the Irish whiskey in. Now look, I am Canadian. So anytime I see it in a recipe, I gotta bring it to my American friends. We gotta grab that good old maple syrup. So of course, I mean, think about the things that you would find after a house party. You're in like a college dorm fridge. It's like a half thing of maple syrup. Yeah, that makes sense. So we're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of the liquid gold itself, the maple syrup. And that's gonna go right over the ice and over the whiskey. And I mean, look, if you like a sweeter cocktail, you can go a little heavier on the maple syrup. But maple syrup is an intense sweetener. It's delicious, but it definitely will show itself. So I would stick to the 3/4, but if you really want to go a little sweeter, I suppose you can. Alrighty. And we got one last ingredient before we shake this one up. This is going to be some lemon juice, folks. Now, you can grab your bottled lemon juice like me, or if you're squeezing a lemon, you're going to want to do about half a lemon here to get your half an ounce. But like I said, half an ounce of lemon juice is what we are measuring out. Half an ounce of lemon juice, just like that. It's going to be a bit of a balancer. We're not really going to taste lemon in this cocktail. It's going to get overpowered by a lot of the other flavors, but we need something to bring down the sweetness, because although whiskey, I wouldn't say is sugary, definitely has some sweetness to it. And then of course, maple syrup. But folks, once you get your lemon juice, your whiskey, and your maple syrup, go ahead and close up that shaker tin and then give it a nice hard shake. The harder you shake these cocktails, I'm telling you folks, the better they come out. All right, my tin is getting some condensation right there in the cocktail can. You can see it. I'm getting some sweat, and it's also a little too cold for my fingertips, which is a good sign that the inside is very cold. All right, I'm gonna grab my rocks glass. I'm gonna get rid of that ice and water that's been sitting in my glass. And I'm gonna get some fresh ice in here, just because I love myself, and I deserve fresh ice. It's important to treat yourself well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a nice large ice cube in there, because I think they look great in these kind of rocks glass, old-fashioned glasses. That's a glass. And then go ahead and flop your strainer on your cocktail tin and strain this out, but make sure that you leave some room, because we still got to add the star of tonight's class. We got to add that beer. So make sure to leave this there. And I will say this cocktail can be, for those who may have younger people or people who don't drink in their family, this could be a mocktail. Whiskey is easily replaced by a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of sugar. And then, of course, for the beer, you could go with a non-alcoholic beer. That is what you could use to make this into a mocktail for whoever may not be drinking that night but still wants to join in on the fun. So, folks, first beer of the night that I'm using a Woodhouse lager. That's a local brew house here in Toronto. But you want to be using a lager, something simple, something easy drinking. And what you want to do here is you want to pour this over top your cocktail, about 3 ounces worth. You can measure or not. At the end of the day, I'm just going to fill mine to the top here. But we want to do about 3 ounces. Do it slowly so that doesn't too fizz up. And once you get it on top, we need to stir this. This is kind of weird. It's a kind of thing that only really happens with beer cocktails. But you want to get a spoon and you want to stir this a little bit, because if we don't stir it, the beer is floating currently. Because of its carbonation, it will float on top of our cocktail and it won't integrate. So if you took a sip as soon as you poured the beer, all you would taste is beer, and that's not interesting. But give it a little a spin, a little stir, nothing too harsh, just to get those flavors to meet each other, hang out. Maybe one day they'll fall in love and they'll marry. That'll be a good thing. And then in terms of a garnish, I would do some orange. I think orange goes really well with whiskey. I think it goes really well with pretty much everything in here. I don't have any oranges, but I've got blood orange. So I'm going to show that off right there. So I'm going to be using a little bit of blood orange tonight, which I think is just going to give me a nice pop of red. I used to have a knife. I've got a knife right here. And I'm going to do myself just a little wedge. And I'm going to pop that on the side. just like that. Blood orange is so gorgeous. It's like one of my favorite fruits. Oh, so good. Alrighty, folks, feel free to turn on those microphones once you get that cocktail done and ready to go. And let's have a cheers. Our first St. Paddy's cheer of the night, our first beer cocktail of the evening. Waiting there for Mark and Jess, of course. Jenny, thank you so much. A diet root beer, if I believe so. Oh, no, not tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. Feel free to throw on that microphone there, Jenny. I can't hear you. And Mark as well, if you feel like it. But
This is
cheers,
coffee,
folks.
but I need to go fill it back up.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers. All right.
What
Ooh,
happened to
that
the
is a-
what happened to the green food coloring?
Well, you could do the green food. This is one of those things where I like to start with this here, and what I'm going to do is put the green in after, so that we get the look of it, and then you can turn it into that green cocktail if you'd like to.
Gotcha.
This is power. This has got the sweetness. It's got that maple syrup. It's got a touch, almost like in my mind, maybe it's the orange on the thing, but I'm thinking of orange when I drink this, and for whatever reason, I'm getting some of that. I'm getting a little bit of spicy peatiness from the Irish whiskey, and that lager just becomes, because it's a lager, it's so easy drinking. That's what this cocktail makes me think. Easy drinking. What do we think, Renee?
I'm not a big whiskey person, but I like it. It's good.
Hey, well, thank you for your vote of confidence. Oh, there it is. Mark,
Thanks, Mark.
unmute yourself, my friend, so I can hear you. Cool.
I thought I did on,
No worries.
here's the green.
Look at that. And I am just going to quickly, because I don't have it out, but I do have it back here. Oh, there it is. Hello, my food coloring kit. I'm just going to have it ready to go so that at the end of the night, we've got all 4 cocktails lined up. And I got that green in there. Should have brought this out prior. But folks, while I'm rummaging through my many, many colors of the rainbow here, please feel free to wash out that shaker tin, enjoy that cocktail, and make sure that, hey, there you are. Alrighty, perfect. Put that off to the side. Have that ready for later. Alrighty, yeah, just wash out those shaker tins, take photos, enjoy that cocktail, folks. And we will move right along into our next cocktail. Of course, you want to take your time. You want to, I'm going to get this over to Rosie, make sure. There we go. And I'm going to just quickly, folks, go grab our next cocktail. Just feel free to enjoy that. And I think we're going to hit up on this one. We want to save that fantastic stout cocktail for the end. That one might be a tough hard to go green, but you might get a nice green kind of like tint to the Guinness. That would be kind of nice. Thank you, Rosie Callahan. That's what I need you for. Alrighty. So, folks, I'm going to throw our next cocktail down the chat. It looks a little more complicated. It looks a little weird because it's using an ingredient that doesn't come around all that often. But when it does, it is one of my favorite ingredients to use. And that ingredient is marmalade. I'm going to show it off right there. I've got myself some orange marmalade right here. Now, I didn't know the difference between marmalade and jam before making cocktails. I thought they were the same thing. Marmalade is what the British called it. Jam is what I called it. But no, marmalade has peel in it. It's got peel involved, doesn't have seeds. It's got a little more of a bitter bite, which is really nice in cocktails because we like the sweetness of it, but it also gives a nice bitter quality. Now, if you didn't get orange marmalade, but you got something else, you got orange cranberry, you can use any kind of marmalade for this, but orange is the preferred because it actually has a bit of a story involved. But let me, first, before we get into the story of the cocktail, make sure you grab your glassware, make sure you chill it down so that while we're musing, with the stories, this is still chilling. It's one of those things that I have to remind myself because sometimes I get carried away with the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I should have told you to chill your glassware. That would have been a great time for your glass to chill. I'm going to also continue to drink because we're St. Paddy's Day. So come on now. There we have it. Alrighty, folks. So this cocktail is known as the Weissen Sour. So the Weissen Sour is a variation or a riff. It is a a beer version of another cocktail known as the Breakfast Martini. So let me tell you about the breakfast martini and how it became the Vice and Sour. So the breakfast martini was made in 2007 by Salvatore Calabrese, an Italian man who lives in the UK and is a bartender there, and happens to be the president of the London branch of the Bartenders Guild. And he, of course, married a gorgeous British woman who serves him a beautiful English breakfast. Now, if you don't know what an English breakfast is, it's a big old breakfast, and kind of one of the biggest components of it is orange marmalade. There's always an orange marmalade on the plate. And so he wanted to kind of pay tribute to, I guess, his wife, this newfound life in the UK and English breakfasts, and created the breakfast martini by incorporating that orange marmalade into the drink. Now, someone took that and said, you know what, I can do you one better. I'm going to throw some wheat beer on top of that. Wheat beer is usually orange flavored. So they're really just, this cocktail is like whiskey and orange. That is pretty much it. But it is delicious and it is light. And I would say it's not as sour as the description might lead you to believe. Alrighty. So folks, when you are ready, feel free to grab those cocktail shakers once again and take a sip and take a photo of that green cocktail. I better stop sipping on this. I'm not going to have any left. Alrighty. So get those cocktail shaker folks out, and why don't we get some ice? Ooh, yeah, let's get some ice in there. I'm like, let's get some ice in there. And I'm going to give this over. I'm going to give this drink to Rosie. Thank you so much. And I'm going to fill my cocktail shaker with some ice. Alrighty. Ice in, folks. And like, look, we're going to start this pretty much the same way always. Go ahead and grab that fantastic whiskey you brought. And we're going to do a good old 2 ounces of whiskey. So 2 ounces going right in over our ice is what we're looking for here tonight. 2 ounces, just like that. Alrighty. 2 ounces of Irish whiskey. Now, if you got bourbon or rye at home, feel free to experiment. It's always nice to play with those kind of things. But if you don't and got that whiskey, that's great too. All right, you'll see that we're also using a lot of the same ingredients tonight, but they're going to have completely different tastes. And that's what's really great about using the same ingredients 4 or 5 different ways. Next up is our lemon juice, and we're doing 3/4 of an ounce. Now you're going to see that the lemon juice is a little higher than our last cocktail. This is known as a sour. So often enough, the lemon is used a little more intensely, whether it be like usually you'd have a sugar component, sugar to lemon, usually balanced if they're kind of the same amounts. That would be a balanced cocktail. Now a sour would be, you have a little more sour than you do sweet, obviously. I feel like I'm explaining it to 5-year-olds, but at the same time, it's important to know that that is important, that the lemon is higher. That means it's a sour. That's kind of the way it works, folks. All right, next up, if you happen to have any orange bitters, I'm going to show it off right there. Yeah, that Angostura, but if you don't have orange bitters, you can use regular bitters by all means, but we're going to do about 2 or 3 dashes right in there. Now, what do bitters do? Bitters add complexity to the drink. And what I mean by that is that when you drink this, the very first thing you're going to get, right, is the taste on your lips and on your tongue. But bitters activate in the back of your throat. So it will be a taste that you will kind of be left with. So whatever the kind of, it's weird. It comes because bitters technically are alcoholic, but it is such a small amount that it's actually classified as a non-alcoholic product and is sold in your grocery stores. But it's just one of those things that when bitters are added, it adds complexity. I'm kind of rambling, but that is really the point. Alrighty, folks. Next up is the star of the show. Go ahead and grab that marmalade of choice, that orange marmalade. Now, if you don't have marmalade, or if you don't have kind of orange or whatever, feel free to use a jam or something similar. You want to get a heaping bar spoon. I mean, you don't want to measure this by the bar spoon, but you want to get about a teaspoon's worth. So I'm going to show you here. I don't have a bar spoon. I've got as much as I can grab on it, and I'm going to dunk that right in there. And now a bar spoon is smaller than a teaspoon. So I figure if I'm going with a heaping, you don't have a bar spoon to measure with, a teaspoon will be probably the right amount in that. And that is it, folks. That is all we need for this cocktail, at least for now. The beer, of course, comes later. We don't want to shake the beer. So feel free to close up that shaker tin. Just like that. There it is. And give it a good shake. We want that marmalade to really break apart. Arms are a little tired, get my workout in after St. Paddy's Day. It's a good time. Alrighty, there we have it, folks. Alrighty, I'm gonna get rid of the ice that is in my cocktail glass. Give myself some fresh ice here. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go with the big cube again. I like the big cube, they're fun. There we go. All righty, and now for this, folks, you can just strain it simply, but if you got one of these at home, which is the fine mesh strainer, it might be good to use because the marmalade will try to escape your cocktail tin, and this will catch little bits of it. Now, if you get a little bit of marmalade in your glass, not the end of the world. It's not going to ruin the cocktail, but it's good to have just so we can catch the little remnants of it. We're just going to go ahead and double strain that. Now you're going to see that my fine strainer is getting a little clogged. So I'm just going to use my spoon. I'm just going to move everything around. Kind of so I got myself about a proper bar spoon's worth of marmalade saved out of my cocktail, which is nice. All righty. Once you get that nice in there, it should be a gorgeous, almost bright yellow color, which is just gorgeous. You can go ahead and crack open that wheat beer of choice. A good old wheat beer. I'm using a Belgian Moon. What do we got over here? Yeah, show it off to the camera. Oh, Belgian Moon, look at that. And what do you got there, Mark? Feel free to turn on your microphone. I'm interested. I can't read it. I'm interested because it looks cool.
It's Franzhauer Hefeweiss.
Oh,
The
very
original.
nice. And of course, Renee's got the Belgian Moon of choice. Good stuff. And same thing here, folks. We're going to just pour this on the top, about 3 to 4 ounces, depending on how much room is left in your glass. You're going to let that fizz up. And then, of course, we're going to grab our spoon. We're just going to give it a quick little stir because, again, we want that beer to incorporate into our cocktail. And like, I don't know about you, but like if someone served me a cocktail that looked like this, I would be hard pressed to be like, oh, there's beer in here. Like I don't know if I could catch it because it's so well masked and so well used. There we go. And then for this, I would garnish this again with an orange or a lemon peel. I think lemon, because it is a sour, it'd be nice to have some expressed lemon on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab myself a lemon real quick. I'm just gonna get myself a nice lemon peel to express over the top. Just gonna not cut myself because, you know, we've already talked about that once today. I know, I'd rather, there we go. And I'm just going to clean that up really nicely, kind of trim off the rustic edges. I like the word rustic because it means when I screw up, I can just call something rustic and like it looks great. People go, oh yeah, it's rustic. It's great.
Yes.
Yes.
That's so true.
And I'm just going to spritz over my glass with my lemon. I'm going to let that drop. And feel free to turn on those microphones. Let's give this one a taste, folks. This is our Weissen Sour. Cheers.
Now that
Ooh.
you've tried it, I want to know, can you taste beer?
You can definitely take you. I mean, it's a yes or no, because if you're looking for it, you might find it. Because this is a sour, though, I'm getting more lemon than almost anything.
Oh,
But again, if you're ordering something that is a sour, that's what you should be getting. But the wheat beer here is to help us with the orange. And because we used marmalade in this, as you drink this, it will get less sour and more sweet because the marmalade that was incorporated was heavy. It was a marmalade. So it's actually going to be sitting more or less at the bottom of your glass. And but let me know what you think. Mark, Renee, you're drinking it. How are you feeling?
It's
So-
good. Like I said, it's a good combination. It's not overwhelming beer. It's not overwhelming whiskey. It's just a nice mix.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a big sour fan,
Okay.
but yeah, it's better than some.
There you go. That's what I want to hear. It's not the worst thing I've ever tasted. Also, I want to show you what our last cocktail looks like now. It's looking quite nice and green, which is good to see. And we'll get this one rocking over. I'll hand this off to Rosie, who is in charge of the green. Why don't you tell me, Rosie, what you think? Feel free to take a sip.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It's good. Nice and sour.
Yeah.
Bright. Absolutely. But folks, we're about half hour in. I think we can keep our microphones on for the rest of the class. I feel like there's not a big enough class in terms of like, you know, people want to say things. I want people to talk and It's not like we're not 20 raucous people. So I feel like we can keep our microphones on. It's all going to be good. But yeah, again, make sure to take those photos. Make sure to send them off to Single Lift Today and tag us, because I'm always like, seeing into your world, into your kitchen is by far one of the coolest things that has happened for me during the pandemic. The fact that I get to connect with people all across the world. Now we have done classes in Canada, the US, Europe, and Asia. The fact that I get to kind of just touch, I don't want to say touch people's lives, but at the end of the day, I'm helping you get drunk. So at the end of the day, I'm doing God's work in my mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my cocktail shakers really quickly, so we can get into this last cocktail, which is probably the most Irish of them all, in my humble opinion. You know what? We're gonna go with D. Alrighty. How's that green cocktail coming, Rosie? We're working on it. There it is. There she is. A good old green cocktail. Alrighty. We've got our green cocktails off to the side. It's good. And I like how the first one, the Beggar's Banquet, because it's a lager, it's like clear green, like crystal. And the fact that we use the bison with the sour, with the lemon juice, and it's a little more cloudy, it's giving us a different green. I love that. Alrighty, folks, we've got one last cocktail to hit you with tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and throw you that list of ingredients. Now, there is a little bit of muddling involved, so you might want to grab yourself a muddler that we will be needing for the next cocktail. All right, and there it is down below, folks. We couldn't do a St. Patrick's Day themed class without one of the most iconic cans on the planet, the good old Guinness. Now, I will say this, and I will say this to you because you're all my friends. I'm not a big fan of Guinness. I will say it here. It is not my first beer of choice. Rosie is looking down at the floor disappointingly in the background. I just want you to know. But no, I will say that Guinness has grown on me. I think I tried it when I was too young to appreciate it. And then I kind of put it to the side and was like, oh, I don't like that. And then I had it later on in my 20s and I was like, oh, it's a little better. And I don't know, I turned 30 this year, or rather last year. So suddenly I'm like, oh yes, I have a new appreciation for the things I didn't appreciate as a child. And Guinness is one of those things, apparently. But no, we had one last night. We actually made a Guinness old fashioned last night, which was a lot of fun. But this one actually comes straight from the Guinness brewery, this cocktail. This is a cocktail that has been approved by Guinness, and it is one of their favorites that they serve at the brewery on St. Patrick's Day. So it's kind of like you're there. You know, we're trying to keep the travel theme going here, folks, okay? But this is known as the Black Magic cocktail, and it incorporates Guinness in such a fantastic way. Guinness having that kind of frothiness really is going to help bring all of the flavors to the top, whereas other kind of the last two beer cocktails, there's a separation usually where the beer is on top and the cocktail's on the bottom. But because Guinness has this kind of airy quality to it, it will bring up those flavors to the surface. Now, if you didn't pick up Guinness, but you picked up a stout, that will do okay. Oh, there we go. Bottled. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We need to talk a second. I have never seen bottled Guinness. I think maybe Canadians, we only have cans. That's
Really? No, I've got a nice glass bottle.
it's a beautiful bottle. Sorry, I've worked in bars for like almost 15 years. I have never seen a glass bottle of Guinness. That is so cool. I'm very jealous. I might have picked it up sooner had I been able to grab it.
I will tell you though, it's not the nitro.
Oh, I see. Because in here, I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but in my can, I have a white ball. And it helps kind of, I believe it's supposed to help the separation of that gorgeous head to the rest of the beer. Does yours not have like a head like that?
No, it does not have a ball.
In the US, you can get regular cans and you can get the nitro cans.
Oh.
The nitro cans, if I understand the technology right, when you pop it open,
Yeah.
it's a little capsule of nitrogen.
Oh.
Which essentially is supposed to give the same sort of effect as it when you're pulling it from the keg.
Oh my gosh. I mean, look, Canadians, we like to drink, but apparently not as much. as our friends to the south.
No, they can, you're more down to it. We're hotty toddy, and we have to have the latest toys and tools, right?
I was blessed. I was able to go to the Guinness Brewery
Yeah.
over there in Ireland. I
What?
didn't know that Americans made it. Do we make
Yeah.
it here?
So it is made, I forget exactly where, but it's made in 3 places in the world. Ireland,
Oh.
one in the US, and I forget where the third one is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it says, yeah, imported. I'm just looking at my can. Mine was imported from here in, we might have one here in Canada possibly, because it says Montreal, Quebec right on the can. But that being said, I wouldn't doubt that, like, I know Guinness is like, it's very specific, and it's like, I might, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe that's just where it was imported to. But
Yeah.
that's, Jenny, I'm very jealous you got to go to the very famous, brewery. That's awesome.
I just had to add that.
Oh,
It
please.
was a land excursion with Trafalgar.
Yep. So the bottle actually says nitrogenated for smoothness.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Mine says brewed in Ireland by Guinness. It also says enjoyed chilled straight from the bottle.
Okay. Well, we're going to do some of those things. We are definitely going to enjoy it. There's no doubt. But first things first, folks, this is called the Black Magic. So we got to get some black in this cocktail tin. So we're going to start off with some blackberries. So go ahead and grab yourself a handful of blackberries, about 4 to 5, I would say. And you want to throw those into your naked cocktail tin. Nothing in the cocktail tin except a handful of blackberries. Now, the more blackberries you put in here, the more blackberry taste you're going to get at the end. So I would say somewhere between 4 and 6 is where you want to go. I wouldn't go higher than 6. Then we're getting into like too much berry stuff going on. So we want 4 to 6 in here. And then, of course, we want to add our sugar elements to our berries before we muddle. Because when you muddle something, you are expressing all of its content out. And I want it to be grabbed by something. So go ahead and grab your grenadine, is what we are going to use as our sugaring element tonight. And that is going to be just a small little bit. It's going to be just 1/4 of an ounce of grenadine. It doesn't feel like a lot, but let me tell you, this grenadine, which is supposed to be a pomegranate flavored sugar, this kind of Rose's grenadine, which is the most kind of marketable, I think we all have it right now. It has a touch of pomegranate, but it's mostly just simple syrup with red food coloring. I'm going to be honest with you. But if you make your own pomegranate grenadine at home, you're going to get a hard pomegranate taste. And go ahead and muddle those blackberries. I'm just going to grab my muddler to the side here. There we go. And I'm going to push down on these blackberries. And I am going to twist my wrist as I go, just because I can get that stirring motion in. And I just want to break down these blackberries. I want to make it a nice kind of goo at the bottom. And once you feel like you've pushed down those blackberries and they've all popped, you can go ahead and lick that muddler. Make sure you know what's going on at the bottom. Oh, that tastes good. That is a delicious bottom of the muddler. That tastes like grenadine and blackberries, folks. Tastes like something else, you're in trouble. Ooh, all right. And once you feel like you have muddled down your blackberries and your grenadine, feel free to throw some ice into that cocktail shaker. We can get going on this cocktail, folks. All righty. I am having a hard time with my ice because I have no nails, because I'm a biter. There we go. The extra bit of knowledge for you tonight, that Matt bites his fingernails and has been trying to stop since he was 5 years old. Just one of those. I mean, I'll take that habit over smoking or, other things. I'll take the vice. I'll take it. Alrighty. Back to the old faithful, folks. Once you get some ice and your blackberries and grenadine in your tin, go ahead and grab that whiskey for you. And we're going to do 2 ounces of whiskey. That is kind of the secret number in cocktailing. A lot of the time, our alcohols will mostly be adding up to 2 ounces in terms of spirits. So if you're ever like, oh, I wonder how much gin is in this, rule of thumb is 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces is the way to go. Next up is going to be lime juice. If you're going to be squeezing a lime, it's about half a lime. If not, you need 1/2 ounce of lime juice. And I'm just going to grab mine from the fridge right there. And I'm going to do half an ounce of my lime juice. I used to squeeze fruit a lot more often, but I've got terribly cracked hands from years of bartending and the kind of harshness of citrus acid on my hands. So I end up using the bottled stuff, and which is fine. But if you ever can use fresh ingredients, I always encourage you to. You will get a slightly more fresh cocktail, but this is delicious all the same. Alrighty, folks. And guess what? I mean, that's it. That's all you need in the cocktail shaker. So go ahead and close that up. Once you get the whiskey, you got the lime juice, the grenadine, the blackberries. Give it a nice tight shake, and let's make it happen. Alrighty, my hands are nice and frosty. Alrighty. Ooh, the inside of this is it's because it's kind of purpley. We got that blackberry, but it's like it looks like black magic. I wish I could show you. I don't know if I can. No, that's not so great. You'll see it once I put it in the glass. And of course, folks, as you're straining, you might want to use your fine mesh strainer. If you want, you'll catch some blackberry pulp, but you don't have to. Get a little blackberry pulp in there. It's not the end of the world, folks. I'm going to go ahead and put some ice into my cocktail glass, grab my strainer and my fine mesh strainer right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to double strain this black magic into the glass here. I'm going to try and get all of this out. I'm going to let my strainer get clogged a little bit so I can grab my spoon. I can move it around. I can get all that wonderful cocktail to come right out. Oh, there we go. Now we get to go to the nitro stuff. It's always fun to open. I'm assuming opening the bottle is similar to opening the can. You get maybe a nice sound, a little something like that. Ooh, I love that sound. There it is. And mine's gonna bubble up a little bit. I'm gonna let that sit for a hot second. Mine's getting a little bubbly up here. I don't let anything go to waste. Come on now. And then same thing here, folks. You want to just pour that black magic right over the cocktail. About 3 ounces is what you're looking for, 3 to 4 ounces. And you'll see here, if you look in the cocktail can, it's actually really evident the reason why we do our stirring, because the Guinness is floating while the cocktail is on the bottom. So we will do a little bit of a stir here, because otherwise you're just going to be tasting Guinness more often than not in your cocktail, rather as opposed to your actual cocktail. So I'm just going to stir this up a little bit, get everything to meet. Trying to get that beautiful, smooth Guinness rocking in there. And then for a garnish, I would do a couple of blackberries over the top on a toothpick, a cocktail pick. So I'm just gonna grab myself a pineapple cocktail pick. And I'm just gonna do 3, folks. I would say garnishing, there is a bit of a superstition. I don't know where it started, but it's kind of like the same thing with the lime and the Corona. That was just a brilliant marketing tool. But garnishing is always done in odd numbers. Garnishing is done in 1s and 3s. If you think about it, in a martini glass, you get 1 olive or you get 3. You never really see 2 olives. Or in a Gibson cocktail, you'll get 1 small onion or 3 small onions. But there is my black magic. I'll show it off to the cocktail cam right there. It is a gorgeous cocktail with blackberries on the top. But let's do this, folks. To the black magic. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, this has got some blackberry tartness. We've got that Guinness, which is really kind of a mouthfeel experience. This is more of I think it's more of a slow sipper. I wouldn't knock this one back by any means, but this has got, I mean, I am still sitting on that blackberry taste. So if you're a fan of blackberry, you're going to like this cocktail. What do we think, folks? Oh, that's a cat. I just saw cats.
He's a bad cat.
Mark, feel free to turn on your microphone, my friend.
There you go.
And what do we have any thoughts?
It's a lot different than the other two.
Right? And I feel like that's part of Guinness's whole thing. They are so different from any other kind of beer. So that makes sense to me. That makes 100% sense to me.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah,
Mark, how do we feel?
I can taste the Guinness. I can taste the blackberries. Really don't taste the whiskey. I guess the grenadine. To me,
Yeah.
the grenadine and the lime are canceling each other out.
Yep. I mean, absolutely. And I think the whiskey is more of a, because I agree with you, the whiskey is not hitting me any which way. And I feel like that's one of those things where, like, to be a cocktail, you have to add a spirit. And if you're going to add something into an Irish cocktail, you might as well add yourself some Irish whiskey. Because I feel like if I was making a cocktail in Ireland or at the Guinness pub and I didn't add something like this, I'd get thrown out as a bartender.
Yeah. Well, considering, I think the Guinness place and the new Jameson place are within 6 blocks of each other in Dublin. Because
I had no idea.
yeah, I think Jameson just opened a new place in the last couple of years.
I mean, look, it's funny. Throughout the pandemic, I have been making a short list of places that I need to go that all are alcohol related. And let me tell you, if they are a couple of blocks from each other, there is no reason not to see both if I'm heading to Dublin. We got another cat, Linda's cat.
It's not mine, yeah.
Oh,
I
but
will
folks.
probably be here in a little bit.
All right,
I have
folks.
a question about grenadine. I thought grenadine was a cherry flavor, no?
So it depends. I will say you can make a grenadine that is cherry flavored, but your natural, if you're making it at home, it will most likely be pomegranate. That is at least the original recipe. But just like cocktails and everything in cocktailing, things change and they kind of go where you want them to go. So if you like cherries more than pomegranate, make a cherry grenadine. But if I am not mistaken, and I will look it up to double check, my own kind of knowledge that it's not cherry, but pomegranate, I'm almost 100% certain that is the original recipe.
Well,
It doesn't. I don't think it says anywhere on here. I was double checking myself. Mark.
yeah, no, it's all artificial ingredients.
Yeah. It's all. I mean, look, it's all sugary crap. Like that's what it is, but it does its job, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. But folks, it is 8:47. Give yourselves a round of applause. You killed 3 cocktails in about 45, close to 50 minutes. But let me show you what we made. I don't think I'm going to make this one green quite yet, but that's just because I don't think the green's going to work super well. But you could try it and let me know how it goes. But this, folks, is the Black Magic. We went to Italy and the UK all at the same time with this bad boy right here, the Weissen Sour, and our good old party night after post-party cocktail, the Beggar's Banquet. Those are your fantastic beer cocktails for the night. Hopefully you get to share these with some people maybe this weekend, or if you're just looking to have a good St. Paddy's Day weekend by yourself, that's all good. Make yourself a drink proper, treat yourself well. But yeah, thank you so much for having us again. Thank you to Linda and Single Life today. We love hanging out with you folks. It's really, honestly, I'm going to get to drink 3 cocktails and a couple beers. Like I am set for the night. I don't,